10 years on from the heady days of the Clash, CBS Records released The Story of the Clash, which even goes out on CD and has already sold over 500,000 copies worldwide. This, apart from making CBS a lot of money, has put the Clash back into the limelight, along with their lead singer, Joe Strummer, who I have with me here tonight.
How do you do?
Welcome, Joe. Joe, is it true that you could never sing and keep your right leg still at the same time?
Yeah, the electric leg, as the roadies would call it. In fact, I just did something in the Tabernacle, and someone came up to me after and went, "Your leg's all right, you know, it's still working."
Life in the old dog yet. So how does it feel looking back 10 years ago to the young Joe, well, not the young, but the younger Joe Strummer?
Well, you know, I was always a bit old even for the punk times, you know. I can remember the only time I lied about my age was when it was like, to be a punk you were supposed to be 19.
And how old were you?
I think I was 23. And at the time, you know, now it doesn't sound like much, but...
A bit mature to be screaming about things. Do you still relate to the young man we saw there sort of spouting forth about society and wealth?
Well, you know, imagine, you know, say you've got an aptitude of playing the guitar. To me, it's not very interesting unless it's part of everybody living a life. And I'm not really interested to build it into a fantasy world, say like heavy metal groups deal with swords and sorcery and, you know, fantasy landscape. I don't really like to be in that landscape, you know, I like to be part of the whole world rather than...
So does it still make a lot of sense to you what you were talking about then? Have you mellowed a bit, or do you still feel as fiery?
It makes a lot of sense, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing the Rock Against Rich tour, because to me it just carries on in the same groove. And I mean, imagine if you're a rock star today, your life is gonna be pretty tedious, I'll tell you that. You're just gonna be one long round of self-promotion, you know, make your video, do your album, get your picture took, you know, sprout out your inane ideas. And so, you know, I feel it's time for some bit of chaos, a bit of fun, you know?
A bit of chaos. Well, you know, the chaos that everyone's talking about is the chaos of the Clash's greatest hits, Joe. Was this basically CBS control, or did you have something to do with this?
What, that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mick Jones and Trisha O'Neill picked the track listing. They gave it to me for a once-over. We got our old guy in Jules from Bullet to do the cover, you know. We tried to make it a decent pack. In fact, we held off from releasing that. You know, it's surprising that it didn't come out 5 years ago.
How do you think that Joe Strummer 10 years ago would think about the Clash being put into greatest hits and sort of coming out on CD and stuff like that?
Well, you know, the LP is dead. Don't blame me that it's come out on CD. I don't have a player yet.
Yeah.
You know, you can't scratch on CD, for example.
But how do you think the concept of the Clash's greatest hits would have appealed to you back in those days? Do you think you're sort of like compromising the original urgency and energy of the Clash?
No, I can't see that at all. It's just a retrospective, you know, you can buy into it if you want or ignore it. There's plenty of, you know, so orchestral manoeuvres that went out at the same time.
Yeah, orchestral manoeuvres never were the Clash though, were they?
No, but we, you know, it's a
Clash stands for a lot of, well, for a lot of people it means a lot of things.
I mean, I know I've heard this sort of talking, like, say down the pub, someone says, "Oh, you shouldn't have never had a compilation," but I can't see it myself.
So it's not pounds and pence. It's not about making more dough for you, is it?
You know, I think all groups are stiffed on CD royalties, and I haven't looked into it, but
so
I think
out of the 500,000 that have been flogged, how much do you make on it?
I've got no idea, but it's nothing like as if it would be if it was vinyl record.
Yeah.
For
well, it's on
example.
vinyl as well, though, isn't it? So
yeah, but mainly selling on this stuff.
Must be making a bit of a penny.
Yeah, I should think so, but you know, they'd stiffed everyone on because this wasn't in any of the original contracts. CDs hadn't been thought of, so in the original contracts or almost any group signed, it would be like cassettes near, LBs near. So they had to really.
Are you sort of like setting the record straight? Are you like burying the Clash and saying this was the Clash? This is how they should be remembered.
Well, you know, I had it called Volume 1 because I knew there'd never be a Volume 2, so I called it Volume 1 just to sort of.
Hey, that's really that's cryptic. That I think everyone's looking sort of quite questionable around this studio. We'll have to think about that one later on.
Yeah, well, the idea is, you know, that I think there is still stuff in the vaults that are worthy, perhaps at some point, of listening
what about the track listing? You seem to sort of like chronologically got it the wrong way around. I mean, everybody gives side 3, I think it is, like 10 million to the power of 10 out of 10. Side 4 gets 9 out of 10. Side 3 gets 5, and side one gets minus 20.
Yeah, well, minus 20, you know, that's probably where
Why have you done it the wrong way around?
Up.
Is that so that people who don't know the Clash can sort of like familiarise themselves slowly with tracks like sort of Rock the Casbah and, you know, Straight to Hell and Armageddon Time?
I don't know. It's just, you know, if you wanted to do it chronologically, you could, but obviously Mick didn't decide to do it that way.
You feeling retrospective about the Clash?
No, I don't really give it a lot of thought myself.
If I did press you to give it a lot of thought, just for like 30 seconds, what would you say you think it was all about?
Well, I'd say it was about making music that was somehow had an extra dimension of meaning, which I can remember from when I was at school. Rock music seemed to have an extra dimension of meaning.
What did you achieve for young people? And
well, I think we raised some issues that needed debating, probably altered a lot of people's thinking about a few subjects, but, you know, I'm not here as a perfect example of anything, you know. I'm just a lousy guitar player, and that's it.
He's got a good leg, a good right leg.
Yeah, a good right leg.
Who do you think nowadays reflects the sort of urgency and energy of the Clash? Because like Public Enemy we had on the show last night, they've been called the Clash of the 80s. Yeah,
well, I'm not too sure about... I'm not very an expert on hip-hop or anything. I've heard a few of those, but I was put off a bit by the racist slant that writers are now claiming them to have. I mean, they better watch out, because that can get picked up by the audience very quickly.
It can be a dangerous thing. Yeah. Well, Joe will be coming back for a bit of chat in a sec, but for the moment, here's the track that started the retrospective ball rolling when it went top 30 earlier this year in the charts, thus paving the way for the story of the Clash. That was a bit of a mishmash, that video, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, that's something constructed by Epic in the States to go with that thing.
In their great wisdom.
It's the first time I've seen it.
Did you like it?
Well, I don't really like those big words coming across. It reminds me, you know, really that's sort of a few old videos with extra groovy...
Where would you have knobbed it off if we'd have been in video view?
In the middle somewhere.
Yeah?
When I saw those...
It was like the Clash's greatest hits as a video. It's like, I even saw, I mean, there was, you know, what was it, London Calling, I Fought the Law, a lot of stuff from Rude Boy, even a bit of McVicker thrown in there as well.
I don't think that's McVicker, I think that's a video to Bank Robber. That's our road crew.
But you know, the guys on the motorbikes, I'm sure that's the, you know, we shot in McVicker.
Oh, it could be, yeah, I've never seen the motorbikes bit before.
Well, the Clash sort of finished in 85. What happened thereafter?
Well, then I became involved with a certain Alex Cox.
Alex Cox, yes.
Now, I met him after the Sid and Nancy shooting was finished and did Love Kills for the titles, and then I think we moved on to we shot a video in Spain for Love Kills, which has never been seen. Yeah,
unfortunately we couldn't get it for the show. We had a bit of difficulty.
I hear it's in a bar in Durango on the video jukebox. But you know, it's not worth really going there. But
Durango's a bit too far away.
And then we made Straight to Hell, and then we made Walker. Well, he made Straight to Hell and Walker.
So what's this thing about you and Alex Cox? There seems to be, you know, it's quite you've struck a bit of a relationship. Is it? He strikes me as a sort of bit of a hit-and-miss film director, in the same sense that the Clash were quite hit-and-miss in terms of record producing.
Well, yeah, you may be right. I mean, Alex is somebody who tries to do things against the grain, even if it's pointless. At least he's trying something. And, you know, I've got a lot of time for Alex because I think he does that, and he's not just making Rambo 5 or, you know, Beverly Hills 3 or the usual stream. He gets off with that stuff, you know.
Mm. Do you think he's sort of like the Joe Strummer of the film world? Would you like to think of him as that?
No, I'd see him more as the sort of cross between, I don't know, Malcolm McLaren and somebody else, you know. He likes to be a bit of an entrepreneur.
And you just did the one track for Sid and Nancy then?
Yeah, I had a couple of other things in the film under assumed names.
That's a bit naughty. Well, that was a bit naughty. But apart from the track on Sid and Nancy, you didn't have anything else to do with it then, apart from this stuff that we've we're not talking about.
Yeah, it was all shot by the time I'd met him.
I mean, the other stuff you did is not, obviously doesn't stand out. I mean, otherwise everyone would be saying, oh, that was Joe Strummer there.
Well, it's kind of, you know, I did a sort of dub reggae number. He'd run out of money and run out of time, and you know, the last thing in a film is the music budget, and they're going, oh, we've got $2,000 and we've got to get in 10 records. You can't afford it, you know. So I just banged them off a few odd. It
was a great track though, Love Kills, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was okay, yeah.
Didn't go that far though, did it?
No, I don't think it sold 2 copies, no.
If anyone's got a copy, send it to me, all right? But the film Straight to Hell you were involved in, was that your acting debut apart from Rude Boy?
Yeah.
And how did you find you sort of leapt into the world of acting? Did you enjoy
Well, I
it?
kind of leapt in and leapt back out again. That's the way I look at it. Because I don't think I did any kind of a good job. Like, you really should construct another personality who is the person you're pretending to be, you know?
Yeah.
And I
It
felt...
does look a bit like Joe Strummer dressed up as a
exactly.
bandito. You
No,
haven't
I
even
never
bothered
felt that I knew who that character, if anybody, had supposed to be, you know? And I think a proper actors can do that with ease.
Well, we'll be seeing Joe doing what he was doing very shortly. But for the moment, we're going to go to a break, and then we will be talking more about the film work with Alex Cox. We'll be talking about Rock Against the Rich and Amnesty International. A bit of trouble with the old 6-shooter there, Joe.
Yeah, that was my first week on the picture, you know, and gun twirling takes about a month.
Gun twirling and smoking a cigarette at the same time. I don't think we ever saw Clint do that, did we?
Yeah, he used to have cheroots, always, one in the side of his mouth.
Yeah, but you actually never took it out whilst he was twirling his gun, did you?
No, he's too sensible.
Too difficult. Straight to Hell, I heard that there was a lot more of you in the film than actually, eventually came out.
Well, not really. I think there was a great bit of acting from Elvis Costello, where the women were interrogating him, and they had him in one of those back rooms, and they were slapping him round the mush, and he was going, tell me, what is it? And they were all whispering and laughing and slapping him again. And that got cut out, you know? And there was some good bits, more tormenting, of Xander Schloss, who's the Wiener Man.
Right.
With
So not a lot.
Lewis
You basically didn't have much to do with it from the start then, just a few small...
Well, I was sort of there at the birth of the original idea, you know. What gave Alex the idea was us really hung over at the Cannes festival in '86, where we were sitting really ruined after a night's drinking, and all these people were leaping about playing tennis and diving into the pool, you know. And me and Dick Rude and Tom Richmond, the cameraman, were like 3 skeletons on a bench, and that sort of gave him the idea for the film, you know, an incompetent hip team waking up with hangovers and bungling everything.
And the next film you worked on after that one was The Walker, but you didn't actually act in that at all. No, just Walker, isn't it?
Walker, yeah, I am actually in it as a sort of extra. I grew a beard and grew my hair really long, and I just sort of run about wearing rags.
What's the film about?
It's about a true story of William Walker, who invaded Nicaragua in 1850, or thereabouts.
Yeah. And?
Well, he had 58 men with him, and he took over the country and eventually declared himself president.
Do you admire them? Do you admire him?
No, not really, no.
The fact that it's Central...
Well, you know, Alex was interested in the story not only because it was topical, but also because Walker was an idealist who would say anti-slavery until it got to a point where his power was about to go, and he conveniently would switch over and declare slavery in Nicaragua just to cover his own tracks. And I think that aspect interested Alex.
Soundtrack came out here, but didn't really get talked about very much. You peeved about that?
No, it helps if the film comes out, you know.
When's the film coming out?
Well, it's not got any release date. It might show in London for a couple of weeks at the cinema, but...
Who's the film company made it?
Universal made it.
Well, we're going to show a clip now, so everybody writes into Universal Films, said bring Walker over, and then the track will shoot up the charts. Well then, for those of you not acquainted with the film Walker, and that's going to be many of you, or Joe Strummer's soundtrack to it, here's a clip entitled Filibustero. Hope you'll see a bit more of that around soon. Yep. Would you do any Alex Cox soundtrack?
What, after Walker?
Just then, yeah. You seem to have done quite a few already.
Yeah, I quite like it because I suppose I've got a close relationship with him. But I don't know what he's doing at the moment. I think he's writing a script or something.
Oh, well, maybe he'll be ringing you up quite soon. Joe, you toured the States recently with the Pogues. Did this give you a renewed sort of energy to be playing live again?
Yeah, it's if you have a layoff, it's a bit daunting, to get back. But it was good to stand in the back row for a while. There's the front line, there's Spider and Shane and Terry Woods and whoever. And when Chevron got sick and I took over his rhythm guitar playing for a month, It's kind of good to stand there. You could watch the crowd, you know, just, I quite like watching and things.
And so you're back into playing live. You set up this Rock Against the Rich tour.
London Class War did, yeah.
And you're sort of fronting it for them.
Yeah.
Tell us quickly what that's setting out to do.
Well, it'll raise some money for them, and also in every locality there'll be 50% of the door will go towards some needy local fund.
And when you say Rock Against the Rich, is it rock against anyone who's got a lot of money?
Well, to me, you know, the title of the tour is a misnomer. You know, I see it more as a sort of a debate, way of starting a debate or stirring things up or bringing people out of the woodwork. You know, 275 bands have rung them to try and play.
People have been saying, you know, what is Joe Strummer, son of a diplomat, ex-public school boy, possible millionaire, living in a big pad in Notting Hill, which is seriously gentrified, leading Rock Against the Rich?
Well, you know, first, I'm a billionaire, you should know that. Secondly, Strummer Castle in Notting Hill, just because it has 166 rooms, you know, I don't think that's too much.
But no, but seriously, come on, I mean, what would you say to that? Do you think that's a worthy criticism of
Well,
you,
I'd say they need a well-known person, okay, to generate any interest. And I agreed to do it because I felt that I would benefit myself from doing it, because I couldn't see any way of getting up onto a stage in this sort of 80s tedium, you know, of
crappy pop music,
just somehow ringing the cash tills. You know, it was just a block in my mind. I could work from now till the end of time doing soundtracks if I wanted to, because I'm
well,
I'm
you've pulled up the dates so
there.
you can do some soundtracks, haven't you? You've pulled the dates on
it's
Rock
actually a
Against the
bit of film acting, which I said I'll never do. But no, the point is that they needed someone well known to generate some kind of interest, and so I agreed to do it, because I think anarchists should have, you know, the debate about anarchism should really be taken more seriously, because although we now have a fine capitalistic system, everyone's happy, so-called, you know, anarchism is still another system. It still, you know, deserves, like, say, intellectuals to consider it. I mean, I don't like the way that any kind of criticism of this government at all is, like, hammered with a huge mallet. And so I agreed to do the tour because I thought it was a good stir-up, you know, brings people out from their houses from watching shows like this.
Yeah,
Paul.
Yeah, right, Joe, matey, buddy boy. Another event that, a big event that you're drawing attention towards is this massive Amnesty International Festival of Youth, which is happening on June the 18th and 19th this year. Can you just quickly tell us what is going to be happening? Give us the plug, give us the event.
Well, I'm going to set up a tent up there in Milton Keynes and get a cable run to my tent, and I'm going to spend the weekend camping up there.
Yeah.
Because there's a giant festival at the Milton Keynes Bowl.
So what's going to be happening? What's the festival?
Well, it's just going to be groups playing and people showing some support, which is for the cause of amnesty, which I think is really something that no one could really turn down a chance to do something decent. I think it's a good chance on that weekend, because there's no Glastonbury Festival this year. It'll be a good weekend out.
Have you suffered in competition with the Nelson Mandela event?
Well, the way I see it, that is like a huge event. Wembley Stadium, right? Whitney Houston, Dire Straits. So I see that's probably the event for the over 40s, whereas anybody like more adventurous can come to the Milton Keynes Bowl over that weekend.
Joe, I think we're running out of time. We're going to have to flash up the pledge line. We flash up the pledge line now. There's a phone number that what people phone in.
Yeah, 098 400 500.
And pledge money to the event and find out information about getting tickets and stuff like that. So if you phone that number, you'll get all the information you need. And as far as Joe Strummer's concerned, we've got a new single coming out on the 6th of June, Trash City.
Yeah, it's from a film called Permanent Record, a film about...
It should be coming out in about 10 years' time, I expect.
Teenage suicide. No, it'll come out this year,
yeah?
I think.
That sounds well organised. And you've not seen this video before either?
Well, no, I saw the rough footage which is shot by Jason Mayle on a Super 8 camera while we were actually recording. And I haven't seen it with there's some stuff from the film cranked into it.
Well, Joe, thanks a lot for coming along tonight. Wish you all the best with Amnesty International's Festival of Youth, a cause worth supporting. Well, it's a bit of an exclusive preview then for us here on Night Network and Joe Strummer. A preview of the new Joe Strummer single due out on June the 6th. From the film Permanent Record, we bring you Trash City.